money saved up to buy an apartment, and I started with that. And business took off from season 1, as I was able to finance on my own. So there was no problem. But this time, I don't have a lot of business. I'm starting to launch now. So luckily, I have an investor who's paying for all my expenses, and hopefully, he'll be on the track of making money. And as I grow, I need to find more investors. But once you have a list of stores carrying your clothes, it's easy to find investors. Fashion is a business everybody wants to be involved in, so it's easy in a way once you are in the stores.
I would think about it as a multi-step process rather than one particular sort of jumping off point. Right, at every stage you want to be thinking about what information do I need to invest more time and money to pursue my dream, right? For us, it was this idea that glasses are too damn expensive, and the light bulbs went off, and then we wanted to say, okay, let's look at the industry. Well, the industry is fucked because there's people, there are monopolistic companies that are controlling it and artificially keeping prices high. All right, interesting. If we start, are they going to crush us? No, because they have massive channel conflict. Okay, let's keep moving forward. Okay, can we sell glasses online? No, but if we have a try-on, if we have some mechanism for people to try it on, maybe we can. Okay, we're getting to a point where now we can potentially sell glasses online, but the only way we're going to know is if we actually go out and do it. Well, at that time, it made sense to invest money, and we realized that, you know what, you can only really launch a brand once. So the first 3 things we invested in was having our first collection produced, building a website, and PR, so that way we could, properly launch it. And we did that with our own funding. And then, we were pretty fortunate that sales started to take off. But then at later stages, like if it didn't grow that soon, maybe we would have had to raise money. But just think about how do you de-risk that process every step of the way, and what information will give you the confidence to keep moving forward.
Hi, I think this question may be for Jennifer. When you accept a designer to come into your store, is there a maximum and minimum amount of quantity that you accept from them, and what is the turnaround period?
It really just depends. Often bigger designers sort of come back to me and they say, well, our minimum is X amount of dollars. So sometimes it's, I'm faced with that question. And that's something that I have some resistance to, because often if the bar is set too high and my sales aren't good, I don't have good sell-throughs, then I might never, work with that person again. So it's going to be a very short-term relationship. So I really am all about sort of starting small. I tell people I don't often launch things in all 3 of my stores. I'll usually start maybe with 1 store. I try to be very conservative in my buy, and as much as, from the other side of the picture that might be a little frustrating, I can assure small designers that if I buy, maybe just buy these few styles, sell it in my shop, it does well, I will come back the next season and I will buy more. I will buy 10 styles. I will put them in all 3 stores. And, I can get to a point where I'm doing volume, but, I think it's safer for me and for the designer to start small and be conservative. When you're a designer, like Jim has said, have a great team, but often, a lot of the people I'm working with, they're trying to juggle everything and manage everything themselves, and you can't have 10 deliveries a year and every single accessories category and clothing category and fabric category and every season covered from day 1. It's something that has to grow and has to build, and it should do that organically, not, you don't come into it with something that you try to put on it. So no, I don't really have minimums or maximums. Sometimes I meet people and they're like, I make this stuff, I'll put it in the store next week, and I'm like, great. And I work with big designers that I see 6 months ahead of time and have to, in Paris and order, it's made in Japan. So there's a broad spectrum of production that I work with.
Hi, so this question is for Denise. As far as when you're signing a new client to your PR company, what is the assessment process that you go through as far as deciding whether or not this is a client you want to take on?
I think it has a lot to do, one, with their collection and the product, and it really also comes down to, you know, talking with the designer and seeing what their goals are, what their objectives are, if it's marketable, if they have a clear perspective of where they want to go. Is this something that they're really in for the long haul? Because we look at this as a long-term kind of partnership and a relationship. So there's many different factors. I'm really particular because I have a showroom and then I also have a PR company. So I kind of look at it from both angles and both sides. We're really, you know, I like things that have, you know, heritage and quality and, you know, detail, and that can kind of stand out in itself, and as a marketing side to it, you know, and knowing that the stores that we work with, that it's going to be something that's going to appeal to them and market.
Thank you.
My question's for Jen. Jen, you mentioned that 10% of your sales come from online. Do you find that there's a lot of overlap between your online sales and the customers coming into your 3 stores? And if not, how are you going out to acquire those additional sales?
Well, I don't know percentage-wise, but both, we have a lot of customers who might live, I mean, I think it's hysterical when someone places an order and it's literally on UPSing it like a block away. You can't walk in and try it on. But we are busy. My customers are busy. Often, you know, a lot of people with families, with careers. There's not a lot of time in the day to sleep and shop. So I do get business from locally, from Brooklyn, from a lot of people from Manhattan. But a huge part of it is more from domestically, and then we actually have an international. We partnered with a company that does our international transactions for us. That actually approached us, and they just make it very easy on my end and on the customer's end. Basically, I pay them a fee, and they deal with all of the shipping and dealing with the duties of international shipping. So that's one way that we have made it easier to get international customers. But basically, we don't have a allocated marketing budget. Basically, we work through. I've developed relationships over my many years working in the business, and really just try to maximize. I mean, working with Racked and all of the blogs and my magazine contacts and people, you know, who I may have met when we were first landed in New York City and had our first jobs, and now as we've sort of grown and, you know, devoted our time and effort and energy and years to this business, then people are in great places. So I found myself really luckily surrounded by a lot of very supportive press and marketing sort of on my behalf that I don't have to technically pay for. So I think that is what drives a lot of the business on the website. Otherwise, in the stores, it's very interesting. I mean, really, you know, we live in this huge city, and I'd say the vast majority, you know, of my customers in each location are customers from, from that location. We're so neighborhood centric. We live in all these tiny little villages in one big city, and that's why I love it. You know, I know my customers, where they come from, what they do. I see them at the farmers market. I see them at the restaurants. Kids go to school together. So you have this, experience together.